and welcome to another Radio Times live Love Island chat. I am Sarah Doran.
And I'm Ellie Harrison.
And we are going to take you through the next 24 hours in Love Island and have a little sneak peek back at what's been happening in the 24 hours before. Now, we have to say, tonight's episode is looking like it's going to be absolutely amazing. We've just watched a sneak peek clip and we've been pretty much screaming about it on the way in this door. But before we get on to tonight, as Ian Sterling would say, and that's a terrible impression, we just want to pick up on one thing that everybody has been talking about this morning, and this is Alex and Ellie's really cringy argument from last night. So everyone seems to be either Team Alex or Team Ellie. It's quite evenly split. And Ellie, I want to know, are you Team Ellie or are you Team Alex?
I think on this occasion I am Team Alex. I completely understand his frustration that he feels like he has been played by Ellie. I think it's something that we were all saying here in the office have been seen coming for quite a long time. Unfortunately, lots of viewers think that he put his point across in a little bit of a forceful way, and ultimately that's taken away from his kind of like maybe a bit sob story status, so there'll be less empathy for Alex. But I think Ellie she came across like she was backed into a corner and she was defensive, and that's because I think she knew deep down, oh yeah, I have played you, and actually you're not taking this lying down like I thought you would.
So to put it into context for everybody, over the past week or so, we've seen Alex and Ellie on a kind of will they, won't they. Everybody's really wanted her to get with him. He's been kind of, the mate that you're like, hey, will you snog my mate? That kind of situation been going on. And they did seem to actually be forming quite a nice bond. Yeah. But he felt that since the recoupling on Friday night that she had been kind of cold or distant with him. And she said that's because she just didn't really know how to have the I'm just not that into you conversation. So he got really quite aggro with her. And I agree. I don't think he went the best way about it at all. But a lot of people have said that, he's kind of said, oh, you can't have your own sexual agency. Oh, you can't be a woman and not like me. And I can completely see why they're getting that impression, and I would agree. No man should ever say that to a woman. No guy should decide. Or no woman should decide that for a man either. But I think really, from watching it myself, the impression I got was that Alex was really frustrated because he didn't care whether Ellie liked him or not. Of course he cared a bit, but he cared more that had she just made that decision 3 hours after the recoupling, or did she always feel that way? And I think he felt like she always felt that way, and that's why he exploded. Either way, do you know what? I don't think either of them come out of it looking particularly good.
No, I don't think so either. And his confidence has just taken like knock after knock, and I think that's why he kind of blew up. He thought, I'm not going to take this anymore. People can't treat me this way. But they both came out of it pretty badly, and it was one of those conversations where you knew they were both going to sit down at this table, and actually neither were going to end up seeing eye to eye, and it was going to end in one of them storming off as it so often does.
Complete cringe. I think, unfortunately, Alex has lost a lot of the audience, and maybe rightly so, because he didn't really act in a way which we would like to see him act, or we kind of had this vision of him as this particular character. And you know what? Ellie was just kind of standing up for what she wanted as well, so I'm going to say wish them both well, wish them both happiness on the island.
Separately, probably.
Separately would probably be the best decision. Speaking of separations, let's move on to tonight. I'm going to keep saying it until I can get it right. I don't think I have the mystery or the kind of
we'll keep
sterling grasp. Megan and Eyal are two Love Islanders who have never shied away from controversy in front of the camera. Of course, were involved in a love triangle with our beloved Alex not so long ago.
Yes.
But Ellie, it's not looking good for them tonight, is it?
No, it's not. So Megan and Eyal are it's slowly dawning on them that perhaps they were more in lust than in love. They both very much have a physical attraction for each other, and they kind of were keen on doing bits as the lingo goes. But essentially they've realised they're not having that much of a laugh together, and actually it's a bit early to be having to force that. We were kind of under the impression that was mutual and that Eyal and Megan were both getting a little bored of each other, but we've just seen a clip of tonight's show, and it looks like Megan's kind of drifting away from Eyal is something that he was not on board with. He thought, we're not having fun together, let's have fun. And she said, don't want to force it, see ya.
This did come a little bit, so in tonight's episode, Eyal is heard saying, this kind of came out of the blue for me. And you know what? In a way, it did come out of the blue for me as well, because to be honest, they seemed fine. Boring, not getting much airtime, but fine. And now suddenly I wonder if maybe Megan is feeling like a little bit like, oh, what about me?
Yeah.
And has kind of decided Eyal's not really getting the kind of ructions and fun I want. And, you know, has he served his purpose?
Yeah,
I don't know.
She can feel them melting into the background a little bit.
I mean, there are two of them in it, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to hate on the girls and say it's all their fault. You know what I mean? It takes two to tango. Of course, they did tango the other night. And it was all about it. And she seemed so excited afterwards. Like, they both seemed like really happy little bunnies. And they won the challenge, the hot dog eating thing with the balloons. And they seemed to be going really, really, really well. And then just suddenly nothing.
Yeah.
And you know what? Adam and Rosie did bits, as they say, the Do Bits Society, which I think is a terrible name. Wes, no.
Stop. Make it stop.
Stop trying to make the Do Bits Society happen, please. It's just not happening. It's just not.
But it seems to be the curse of many couples.
It's the curse. Definitely the curse.
Which is bleak.
And
not that surprising.
And you know what? Look at what's happening to the instigator of the phrase. Look what's happening to the CEO of the Do Bits Society, Wes. Wes and Laura.
Wes and Laura have been having a very ongoing rocky patch. It all kind of began when Ellie, like rewind, entered the villa and Wes's eye began to wander and he thought, oh, maybe Laura and I aren't right for each other. And then in last night's episode, we saw Laura getting quite upset because Wes had called her ignorant. And so they had another spat. And it seems like actually they're having more bad times than good lately. And it turns out, so their relationship was vulnerable. It turns out now that actually Megan, who has obviously just decided to pie off Eyal, has an interest in Wes, so is going to swoop in and potentially wreck that home.
See, what I found interesting about this is, and it's the thing I've noticed about Wes's storylines quite a lot, and I say storylines because obviously Love Island is reality TV, but there's a huge element in which you do see the hand of the producer sometime, and there is that kind of constructed factual element. So if we're rewinding back to Ellie and Wes last week, it felt a little bit like he had a personality transplant overnight when Ellie came in, and suddenly he was pretty much being as horrible as Adam, as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
The way he was kind of telling Laura, it's essentially all in your head, and none of this
Yeah,
is
you
my
have to remember
fault.
we're not boyfriend and girlfriend.
And constantly using the fact that she was older than him against her by saying, she's supposed to be the mature one. She's supposed to be the mature one. She's the older one. I'm supposed to be the 20-year-old and she's supposed to be the 29-year-old. No matter what age you are capable of any range of emotions and feelings. So I think that's bad in the first place. I hate the whole use of Laura's age against her. I just think it's terrible.
Yeah, and it looks like that's going to be used again this evening so Megan's kind of tossing up whether to actually go and do this big thing and drive this wedge between Laura and Wes, and she goes to Samira for advice and says, how do I broach this with Wes? I'm developing feelings for him, something that none of us really saw coming.
No.
And Samira, it's such a shame, says to her, oh, well, why don't you just say kind of, you're 20, you're young, you like to have fun, maybe Laura's not offering that for you. Obviously there's this much discussed Laura and Wes age gap, 29 to 20, and actually Megan goes in tonight and she uses that as her kind of sucker punch to convince him that she's younger, closer to his age, and therefore better suited to him.
Well, it all kind of comes to a head in tonight's episode when the gang are given a challenge. So last night's challenge was essentially Mr. and Mrs. And I think this was the first time they'd ever raised the idea that Wes had any interest in Megan at all, because suddenly he held up that chalkboard and said if there was another girl he could couple up with, it would be Megan. I know they can't show you 24 hours a day footage, but there's been nothing. There's been not a single conversation between them, a sit down. I've seen no indication.
No,
that they have
unless it's been
any
edited
interest.
out. It seems like it's just popped out of nowhere.
And they've been saving this for us. So tonight's challenge, I should say, is it Snog, Marry, Pie?
Yeah, that's the one.
Snog, Marry, Pie. And when Megan's given the choice to kiss someone, she snogs Wes. I think she says, I'm going to lips Wes, actually, in front of Laura. And Laura's initially, to be honest, a bit miffed, but not too worried.
But all taking it within the jest of the game.
And she's saying, obviously if Megan did crack on with him, I'd be quite annoyed. So Ellie, I think she's going to be quite annoyed.
Yeah, well, because straight after that, then when Wes has the choice, he then goes and lipses Megan. And actually, even then, Laura says, oh, he wanted to choose me as the one to marry, so that's why he kissed Megan. I think at this point she's in a little bit of denial. Yeah. But it's clear that there's this mutual flirtation. It's all escalating quite quickly. And yeah, basically the tables have just turned all of a sudden. So later that day, Megan confides her feelings in Wes after having had the chat with Samira. We've just watched a clip on the Love Island app which shows that she is being even more brazen than we thought, and that she actually asks Wes for a kiss while he's still coupled up with Laura. Even Wes goes, what? Like, you want a kiss? Like, really? And then it obviously cuts off at a cliffhanger moment, and we don't know whether that happens, but it's pretty brazen, and if Laura's, that's not going to go well.
Do you know, throughout this series, I have felt like Megan has never been one to hold back from passing judgment on her female islanders. You know, we've seen her speak about Georgia behind her back. We've seen her sit in the beach hut and constantly say, well, maybe it's because I'm just not that kind of girl.
Yeah,
maybe
quite
it's just
judgmental.
I'm not that. And the behaviour that is exhibited later in the evening when she's talking to Wes about how she feels about him and what she believes he should do while he's still coupled up with somebody, just really makes me think, Megan, that's all been a bit rich.
Yeah.
The way you've spoken about the other girls, how they've behaved, to me, it just comes across as really, you're really going to go there after all that. What gets to me is that after that conversation, Wes then approaches two people in the Love Island villa who certainly know all about how to go the right way about treating a girl that you may be about to pie off. Adam and Zara.
Yes.
Adam and Zara.
People keep going to Adam for advice. And Alex went to him as well, and I thought, okay, the only advice you should follow is not to follow Adam's advice.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. And of course, they just immediately encourage Wes to absolutely pursue Megan. They say, you know, you'll regret it if you don't, which is bizarre. Like, Wes must be able to see the massive multiple fallouts that Adam has caused when he's been in the villa. But I think he went to them because they gave him the answer that he wanted to hear.
Definitely.
And then, so following that advice, Wes then goes over to Laura for the chat, which never sounds good.
No.
Does it?
How will that chat end? We don't know. I mean, we've constantly seen Wes and Laura be kind of at this precipice where they could fall off, and they have come back. But I find that them
she's been very forgiving.
Yeah, them coming back relies completely on her saying, no, it's fine.
On her efforts, yeah.
Yeah, or him suddenly finding there's been a line drawn in the sand by the girl he's been pursuing who isn't interested in him anymore. And suddenly it's like, I love Laura.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of...
I remember you.
I mean, everyone should have their agency. Everybody should feel free to couple up with whoever they want to couple up with. But I mean, I don't think it's too much to ask for a little bit of respect for the other people you're in that show with. You know everybody's on screen 24/7. You know that when you disrespect them in front of an audience. And I think that's why Laura got so upset about the ignorant comment last night. You know, you're not just disrespecting them face to face, and it's a bit much. But then again, I guess that's what makes Love Island, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then the fact that they have to live together for, about another 6 weeks, and also it's on national television, about 3 million people watching, so it's just, I think you go in there hopefully with quite a thick skin.
But I mean, the question is, Ellie, you raise an interesting point. They might have to live together for a little bit longer, or they might not. Because tonight... Again, it's just still terrible. I will say this is worse.
Efforts.
This is worse than the Do Bits Society. There is going to be a flak attack. Caroline Flack is on her way to the villa. We talked about this a little bit yesterday.
Always a bad omen.
We're not entirely sure what's going to happen, but I'm going to go off like the trail that they showed at the end of last night's episode. There was a hint like they were flashing up pictures of the couples. There was, you know, the flaming bowl that you always see when they're doing like recouplings and voting and stuff. Are we going to vote somebody off? You know, are we going to be getting rid of more than one islander? I mean, what do you guys think is going to happen? Don't forget to leave us your thoughts and your comments in the comments below. And of course, if you've been enjoying the videos, don't forget to give them a thumbs up so we can know that you want lots more Love Island chat. Ellie, what are you betting was going to happen tonight?
Well, I bet that Wegan will happen. And I also think... Yes, I think that there is going to be a vote for a dumping from the island, because I think now there are a couple of slightly vulnerable islanders who are struggling without a couple, and I think the producers will think, right, you've had your chance out, let's get the new lot in.
Who would you get out given the choice?
Well, I'm not feeling very warm towards Megan, so probably her, but I know that's an unrealistic expectation.
I wouldn't mind seeing Adam and Zara go, to be honest, but that's just my opinion. You are entitled to yours, of course. So as we said before, don't forget to share who your favourite islanders are, who you think will leave, what you think will happen in the comments below. And of course, subscribe to radiotimes.com on YouTube for all the latest Love Island gossip and videos and so much more. We'll be back for another Love Island chat very soon. But until then, I've been Sarah Doran.
I've been Ellie Harrison.
And thanks so much for watching.